Have you ever wondered if your prayers are heard by God? This is a question that takes us into the heart of Luke 18, where we meet a persistent widow and an unjust judge. This profound parable offers us a glimpse into the divine dynamics of prayer and faith. The widow, despite the indifference of the unjust judge, never loses faith. She remains unyieldingly persistent in her quest for justice. This relentless pursuit is not in vain. Ultimately, her perseverance pays off. Her prayers are answered, and justice is served. This story teaches us about the power of persistent faith and prayer. It's not about pestering God into submission, but about trusting His timing and His perfect sense of justice. It's a reminder that God, unlike the unjust judge, is compassionate and just. Just like the widow, we must trust in God's timing and persist in our faith and prayers. Do you ever question the sincerity of your prayers? Let's delve into a tale Jesus shared, the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector. In this story, we meet two men with vastly different approaches to prayer. The Pharisee stands tall, his prayer filled with self-righteousness, boasting about his piety and looking down on others like the tax collector. His prayer, while eloquent, lacks sincerity and humility. On the other hand, we have the tax collector. He stands afar, unable to even lift his eyes to heaven. His prayer is simple yet profound. God, have mercy on me, a sinner. His words, filled with genuine remorse and humility, echo in the silence. He acknowledges his shortcomings and pleads for mercy. This parable teaches us to approach God with a humble heart, recognizing our own imperfections and seeking His mercy. Remember, it's not the length or eloquence of our prayers that matter, but the sincerity and humility behind them. God values a humble heart that acknowledges its own shortcomings and seeks His mercy. What does it mean to have faith like a child? This question directs us to a profound teaching from Jesus. In Luke's Gospel, Jesus presents children as the model of faith. He proclaims that the kingdom of God belongs to those who are like children. But what does it mean to be like a child in our faith? A child embodies trust, innocence, and humility. These are qualities we often tend to lose as we grow older, becoming more jaded and cynical. Yet Jesus calls us to reclaim these traits. Trust in God as a child trusts their parent, without reservation or doubt. Preserve innocence in a world that often seems so dark, maintaining a pure heart that seeks goodness. Embrace humility, acknowledging our need for God's guidance and grace. And so, we understand Jesus' words. To enter God's kingdom, we must cultivate a childlike faith, trusting, humble, and pure. What is your greatest barrier to following Jesus? Ponder on this as we delve into the encounter between Jesus and the rich ruler, a poignant story that unveils the struggle of prioritizing spiritual wealth over material wealth. Here was a man of considerable means, a ruler with riches beyond imagination. Yet when faced with the choice of surrendering his earthly wealth to follow Jesus, he found himself at a crossroads. His wealth, the very thing that society deemed as his strength, became his stumbling block in his spiritual journey. It's a stark reminder for us all. Our earthly possessions, the things we often cling to for security and comfort, can become barriers that prevent us from fully surrendering to Christ. This doesn't mean that wealth is inherently evil, but it poses a question. Where does our true devotion lie? We must examine our hearts and remove any barriers that prevent us from fully surrendering to Christ. What lessons have we learned from Luke 18? Luke 18, a profound chapter in the Gospel, provides us with invaluable lessons to navigate our faith journey. It begins by teaching us about the power of persistent prayer through the parable of the unseen judge. This parable encourages us to pray without ceasing, with unwavering faith and perseverance. Next, we delve into the story of the humble tax collector. This narrative emphasizes the importance of humility and sincerity in our relationship with God. It reminds us that those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Then we encounter the message of the kingdom belongs to the childlike. This passage underscores the need for childlike faith, a faith that is pure, trusting, and without pretense. Finally, we grapple with the rich ruler's dilemma, highlighting the challenge of surrendering fully to Jesus, despite our worldly possessions and desires. As we navigate our faith journey, let these lessons from Luke 18 guide us to deepen our relationship with Christ.